I still have a residence in LA. I don't have my residence in Miami anymore because when I'm here for work, I need a place to sleep. And when I was in Stockton, I was at my house luxuriating in the South Side district while LA was burning down to the ground. I lived in LA for almost 20 years, probably 20 years. And all the years I've lived there, I have never seen a fire this bad. When we see fires, brush fires like up north, and we'd be like, well, if you burn down Magic Mountain, we don't care because it ain't gonna near our house. Yeah, we didn't care. Well, guess what? It actually was at our backyards. Rob's house almost burned down. The studio was almost burnt down. That's how close the fires were. And people are looking at this all over the world and saying, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening in LA. It is tragic what has happened here. Is there any other word other than devastation?
No, it's really I feel like the city is still in a state of shock because it's so devastating.
And it's not over yet.
Listen, the fires are still burning right now. Just so you know, on January 7th, though, is when the first report surfaced of a brush fire erupting in the Pacific Palisades. Now, look, y'all don't know what the Pacific Palisades are, but guess what? You won't because it's gone. The Pacific Palisades burning down, in my mind, is still the craziest thing to wrap my mind around because these are $35, $50 million homes. People, all the football players, basketball players, everybody that lives out there, the rich of the rich, it's gone. This fire erupted in the Pacific Palisades, and it quickly grew and led to an evacuation order and a state of emergency. Now, the Palisades fire was then followed by at least 6 other fires all over Los Angeles County. Now, when you think of Stockton, okay, so my hometown, yes, I live in Western Ranch, and then there's East Side, North Side, Spanos, there's all these different communities, right? LA, when you hear LA County, you think it's just one city like a Stockton. No, it is a massive amount of cities within this county, and it is a huge county. I want to say probably 10 million people in LA County or something like that. You can go check it. It's 10 million people. Well, there were fires all over LA County burning down, many of which are being investigated as arson. Now, among the handfuls of fires in LA County, the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire in Altadena and Pasadena have been the most devastating, are still blazing right now. How many people?
9.6 million.
9.6 million people in LA County. That's how many people are. So just think about this. This is 6-7 fires that are happening all simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Now, at the time of recording this show, the Palisades fire scorched nearly 24,000 acres and is only 19% contained. And the Eaton fire has scorched over 14,000 acres with 45% containment. Now, among the two fires, there have been at least 25 deaths and at least 26 missing people reported, and nearly 80,000 customers without power in Los Angeles and the surrounding counties. Now, there's also been about 50 people arrested. That this happened during the fire evacuation zones because people were breaking into other people's houses, stealing and robbing them blind, curfew violations, suspicion of setting fires. We posted those clips on Hollywood Unlocked, gun possession, and a lot more. Now, the fires have taken the homes of several celebrities, and we've seen it online, including Janae Aiko, Heidi Montage, and Paris Hilton, and others, right? But one thing I will say, shout out to all of the firefighters and first responders. You really don't know how scary a fire is until you are almost in it. I'm home in Stockton, feet up, eating a cup of noodles. That's what you do when you're in Stockton. And I call Rob because I'm like, I need you to go to that residence. I need you to get my guns. I need you to get that. Rob is literally packing, throwing things in the bag because he's about to be homeless because his house is about to burn down. So what I have to do is apologize because my insensitivity to everybody at the time that the houses was burning down was go get my shit, right? Clothes, shoes, the dogs were taken care of. Nobody was there or whatever. But I was home and in Stockton. So it was one of those things where I really didn't think about how challenging a fire can be. Mm-hmm. And I don't think in all the 20 years we've lived here that we've ever thought of evacuating because of a fire. What did you think?
No, and it's interesting because I literally had gotten a call before your call from my family, and they were like, "Hey, are you safe?" I'm like, "Yeah, the fire is never by us. Like I keep explaining this to you guys. Like we're always safe. We're fine." And then literally 20 minutes later, I get an evacuation notice because the Hollywood Hills catch on fire. And I'm like, oh my God.
And you live right by the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, so I'm like right down the street. So I called my family and I'm like, well, I am being evacuated after all. So they wanted to
That's
stay on the phone with me. My
crazy.
sister's like, the dot's not moving. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm going to get out in time. But it's really kind of surreal, like being in your home and being like, okay, let me put a few things in this bag and I just got to be okay with everything that's here burning. Like you got to make that quick decision and then leave. So it was really like surreal.
Now, you're originally from Chicago, where you can get killed by a stray bullet faster than anything. When you look at the fires burning here, what do you think?
Devastating. I cannot believe it. It was like 2 fires going on at the same time. And where I live, I was sandwiched in between. But I was in Stockton too. So until I came here and I saw it with my own eyes about to go over the mountain, I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, you're not safe anywhere. And then Chicago and Atlanta, everybody there was freezing, and we're here with fires. And then even if the fire doesn't hit you, you got to worry about the smoke, because if that gets in your like lungs, and that's carcinogens in there. It's crazy.
So many layers to all of this. Now, back to the firefighters and the first responders who are putting things out. Thank you so much for doing that, because everybody's homes, including Rob and my residents, are still intact. And the studio, oh my God, because I thought I was going to have to fire Marina and Johnny. Yeah, no show, no more job. Well, helping to tame the fires are not only firefighters in and around LA, but some from New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, Oregon, Arizona, and Washington, and also Stockton, California. Some of our firefighters came to LA to help out, and Canada and Mexico. So while y'all trying to build the wall, the Mexicans came here to help us put out the fire. Just want to let that sit for a little bit. Well, there's also more than 1,000 inmates from the California Department of Corrections and Rehab who are out helping out via a voluntary fire camps program with Cal Fire. Now, according to the CDCR, the participating prisoners are only to be paid between $5.80 and $10.24 a day, plus $1 an hour when responding to active emergencies. Now, those of you that are saying, well, they're criminals, they should get out there and work for free. Let me remind you what policing and prisons come from. They come from slaves, slave catchers, Jim Crow, and now free labor. This is the new form of slavery. And I'll let you sit with that for a while. Look at the prison reform movement and how many more people are impacted by that. That hopefully will set in and make you think about things. But either way, I mean, they were out there putting out fires, helping our first responders to save people's lives. Now, celebrities like Chris Brown, Kim Kardashian say that they deserve more, and they went live advocating for the prisoners, saying, look, if you're going to get them out there to help save the world, make sure that they're paid properly. Take a look. Chris Brown says, LA, make sure y'all throw a ceremony or parade for these firefighters and first responders after this. Also, the prisoners who were out there risking their lives, they need time. They need time knocked off their sentences. Just saying. Kim Kardashian said, on all 5 fires in Los Angeles, there are hundreds of incarcerated firefighters risking their lives to save us. They are on the Palisades fire and Eaton fire in Pasadena, working 24-hour shifts. They get paid almost nothing, risk their lives. Some have died to prove to the community that they have changed and are now first responders. I see them as heroes. Kim also went on to say, the incarcerated firefighters have been paid $1 an hour to risk their lives, and this pay has been the same since 1984. It has never been raised with inflation. It's never been raised when fires got worse and many died. This year, there was an agreement to raise the incarcerated fire pay to $5 an hour, but it got shot down last minute. I'm urging the California governor, who is Newsom, to do what no governor has done in 4 decades and raise the incarcerated firefighter pay to a rate that honors a human being risking their life to save our lives and home. God, Kim, you had a lot to say. She also went on to say, and lastly, I want to thank the firefighters from the Cal Fire Ventura Training Center for saving my community when it started burning this week. These are all formerly incarcerated firefighters who have come home and want to continue serving our community as firefighters due to bills passed by whatever. These guys can now get their sentences reduced, expunging the felonies from their records for their fire service. And when they come home, they can get a 6-figure paying job working for the fire departments. What do you think of this, though? I mean, I love the fact that Kim is advocating for it, but I mean, minimum wage in California right now is probably like $39,000 an hour. Why would we take incarcerated people, put them directly in harm's way, and not compensate them for that?
It's interesting that this is coming up now, because on this last ballot that we voted on, it was on there. It said, should we make slavery illegal in circumstances of incarceration? And it got voted down. which was crazy to me.
Really?
That was just on the last ballot.
That's crazy.
So like this
Did it say the word slavery?
Yes. It said involuntary slavery should it be banned in cases where a person was as a punishment for a crime, and it was shot down. It was not banned.
So people said we should still have slaves?
Yes, which is insane to me
That's
that
crazy.
passed in California, in LA. So like this is a real conversation that needs to be had. Yes, these people are putting themselves in harm's way, and we're not compensating them. I mean, that goes for a lot of people across this country who get paid less than, a livable wage. But
And you talk about the smoke from the fires. These people are right in the fire with the smoke.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And Kim, she got people out of jail too, so I'm hoping she can like help make change. Because I saw also Nick Cannon was out there with the firefighters. I didn't even know the incarcerated firefighters.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. I saw the picture Nick Cannon posted. I almost zoomed in on one inmate. Said, "Who's that?"
You know what?
No, because I'm fighting for prison reform.
Oh.
Yes. Well, a journalist named Jeremy Lindenfeld, he also advocated for the inmates, claiming that they were being underpaid and underappreciated. Take a look at what his tweet said. He said, "Today I was granted access to speak with the incarcerated firefighters. They told me they hadn't showered in 5 days. They were not provided regular meals. They were working 24 hours in a row, and they feel underappreciated and underpaid. They also said that they all wanted to be there and that they see the work as an important way to give back to the community." People in prison are human beings. And this is the thing. I know that I've joked before about Crip Bay and all these things. Everybody's life has value. Even people who are in prison going through their process, I ain't going to say everybody, because if you molested a kid or you raped somebody, well, if you killed somebody, I don't know. Let me take that back. The people who are out there who are safe enough to still be in the streets helping us have value. Like, let's at least give them dignity and some respect. I think they should be paid. Properly. I wonder what you guys think. Leave it in the comments. I'll go by and read when this show goes live. Well, here's some of the incarcerated firefighters sharing their goals while in the program. Take a look.
Put fires out, man, and protect structures and save lives.
Actually very thankful for the opportunity that I got, to get my record expunged, give me opportunity to build a strong foundation, so I can advance in life and have a future, not only me, but for my kids.
We were fighting fires, protecting everybody. Before I got incarcerated, sadly, I didn't really not know much about firefighting. So once I did become incarcerated, I actually ended up liking it. So yeah, I can actually see myself as a firefighter. Hopefully, once I parole, I'll be going to the Ventura program, graduate from there, and then be on with Cal Fire.
We've been putting them out for the last 24 hours. We're down 24 right now. So we're a little bit tired, and we just had a great meal, and we're about ready to bed it down. And I'm real thankful to be here and be with everybody here and everybody that's supporting firefighters.
And, and when I think about now being the vice mayor of a city, there are a lot of people that get out of prison, get back into communities like the ones that those people come from, and don't have any reentry program or any way of really getting their footing to be productive parts of their community again. So we have to change that. And that's why it's so important to get registered to vote and be active and run for office where you can, because there ain't a lot of people that may not look like who are thinking about that. Well, now, as far as the fire relief, thousands of people, including celebrities and organizations, have been donating to a fire fund and other platforms. Now, Beyonce donated $2.5 million to the Altadena victims. Now, in case you don't know, Altadena, I'm learning this because I know where Altadena is. It's that way. I didn't know that was a predominantly Black community that's just burnt down to the ground. And Kim Kardashian's Skims brand also donated clothing and underwear to fire victims, and the Kardashian family supported first responders with meals. I do want to give a special shout out to In-N-Out Burger. They gave free meals to firefighters. And side note, put a pin in that. The woman that owns that is young. She's like in her 30s.
that owns In-N-Out?
She inherited from her family, owns all the In-N-Outs. She's on social media too. I'm gonna DM her one day because they said she's super cool and stuff too. But for her to do that is so great. By the way, you have the best burgers in the business.
And they treat their employees really well, I believe.
So don't eat the fries though. I mean, maybe with animal style, yeah. But the burgers, the best. Well, The Game has also been on the ground helping fire victims. Rapper The Game, the guy who just had a baby by. Anyway, don't want to be messy here. Baby is so cute. By the way, look at this baby real quick. Take a look.
Blaze.
Damn, that made me want to have a baby for like 5 minutes. Well, The Game has been out visiting fire victims and and people that are surviving it, and visiting shelters, giving first responders food, blankets, pillows, undergarments, socks, and more. Now, FEMA has already received over 55,000 applications for disaster aid, with nearly 12 million so far provided to fire victims. I read somewhere online as I was Googling all of this, there's almost projected to be $150 billion worth of damage caused by these fires. $150 billion. Now, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, who you know is a friend of the show, who I love, I love Karen Bass. Have we given her an award?
Yeah.
Impact.
Yeah, we gave her 2 years ago.
She's an Impact Award recipient too. She is under fire, in part because she's a black woman. Let's just say that. Because I feel like she's wrongfully being attacked. One, she was in Africa at the time the fire started. You can't predict when a fire is going to happen, and she has a responsibility to our city, being that LA is one of the top 3 economies in the world. So in terms of like money and moving to Hollywood, she runs the city, so she does have to travel. She couldn't predict that this was going to happen. They caught her coming right off the plane and just got her hemmed up right in the corner and let her have it. Matter of fact, take a look at the video.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
And do you feel like what they're doing with Karen is wrong? Or do you feel like she deserves it because she's the mayor?
Rob, you answer.
Yeah, I feel like it's completely wrong. It's interesting, too, because the conversation is always, this is what happens when you have DEI hires. They want to say that first as the lead-in, but then when we have a conversation and say, no, this has nothing to do with her race, this has to do with the fact that it's a wildfire and extreme winds and the effects of global warming, and then they go, well, this isn't a conversation about race. Why do you always want to bring race into it? Well, you started it when you said this was a DEI hire. Like, they keep doing that. And we weren't having this conversation when the fires were in Hawaii. We weren't having this conversation when the hurricanes hit Florida. We weren't having this conversation when it's a male-led circumstance.
Well, and when we were having it was Hurricane Katrina, but you look at how the president failed to respond and failed to give aid and ignored the needs. We weren't outraged when Trump was in Puerto Rico throwing paper towels at the Puerto Ricans and the way he treated them during those hurricanes. But we forget history when it becomes something associated with a black woman or person. But here's what I will say. Now it's made me think as a vice mayor of a city, like I actually ran into the fire chief and asked him, are we prepared? Or, what's our hydrant system? Because the hydrant system in LA wasn't working. Well, how is the mayor supposed to know that it's not working if the people over it don't tell her that it's not working? Now, where she got criticized was she defunded some of the fire department. That's what they're reporting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're saying that she took some money from the fire department budget and put more in policing. Is that true, or is that right-wing politics?
It's propaganda. So what actually happened was she proposed a budget cut of $23 million, but that budget cut was because they had already funded the purchase of a bunch of equipment and things that they already needed. So that cut wasn't like, hey, we're going to take money away from the fire department. But in the end, they ended up renegotiating, and the city council approved an additional $53 million for raises for firefighters and another $58 million for equipment purchases. So it went well beyond the $17.6 million that they're saying she cut, and it was upwards of like $80 million that it went over the budget from the year before.
Well, I'm on the budget committee for Stockton and the audit committee, so I it just was a reminder how to really take these matters really seriously. Well, President Joe Biden announced that the government will be offering an initial one-time payment of $770 to the victims of LA fires, and will be covering 100% of the disaster response costs for the next 6 months. If you lose a home in the Pacific Palisades worth $35 million, does $700 a one-time payment help at all? No, it doesn't. And people are really mad. And here's where I will go back to saying, I get it. I understand why Americans are mad. We do a lot to help the whole world. We send millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to Ukraine and all these countries, Israel. But like now back home, you send me a check for $700 when my $30 million home burnt down.
Because wasn't the COVID stimmy check more than that?
But again, this
And
is a
that's not your
temporary
house.
relief check that's
Yeah, it's
supposed to help
temporary,
them get like
but still.
underwear, diapers, food, because they're
When you lose everything, $700, what is that supposed to do?
I think it's just a temporary support from FEMA for the
I
people.
think you're just a Democrat that's going to make an excuse for
No.
everything.
I think it should have. I think they should get more for sure. Like I have some friends who I'm reading their posts where they were getting rejected for relief because they're like, oh, you have insurance, so you're not getting the FEMA relief. But now they finally got it when Joe Biden pushed it through. But again, $770 is not a lot. But they're also putting measures in place to make sure insurance companies don't block them from getting coverage. So the government's doing what it needs to do. But I think this is temporary.
Well, speaking of that, the insurance companies were going to do what insurance companies do, and they tried to cancel all the people's policies right before all this happened, and even up into through it was going on. They wanted to cancel the fire part of their policies. Now, I don't encourage violence, but I've been reading all your comments where y'all say, where Luigi at? Y'all are a mess for that, because you get people's frustration when people go through real life things. These people have lost everything. And I know in the news and Hollywood Unlocked, we're really showing what the celebrities are going through, but there's real life people going through. Rob really packing up his house. Me having to, get things in order, me having to think about what if my business burns down, right? Like what happens and the impact that could happen. So I'm one of the fortunate that made it through. We are, but a lot of people lost everything and got a $700 check. California officials, in response to that, issued a mandatory 1-year moratorium on insurance non-renewals and cancellations after those companies tried to cancel it on the residents in months leading up to the fire. So the moratorium ensures that homeowners in the Palisades and Eaton fires are protected regardless of whether their property sustained damage or not. Also, California Governor Newsom, who's been beefing with Donald Trump and who is under fire. People in California and all over the world hate you, Gavin. I don't know necessarily why. I mean, I have some ideas, but there's a lot of people that are mad at you right now. But he's been in a beef with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump has been using this fire, which is a extremely critical life situation for so many people, those directly impacted and those who are around it, because we all know at least one person who lost everything. He's politicizing the hell out of it. And in a time where we need to bring people together to help those who are in need, he's attacking the governor. Now, Trump called Governor Newsom incompetent and blames him for the fires. Now, he's been issuing several executive orders to keep price gouging and other scams at bay to ensure prompt processing of FEMA applications and rebuilding efforts, plus more. However, some of his rebuilding plans left some social media users shocked, as he mentioned wanting to enact a Marshall Plan to reimagine LA 2.0 ahead of the World Cup, Super Bowl, and Olympics headed to the city of Los Angeles in the next 3 years. And I will tell you, I've gotten lots of calls of people saying they burn this shit down because there's this, there's these 200 trailer park homes or whatever where they want to build a freeway or build a this or that. I don't know that to be the case. That's what all of you are saying. But anyway, Gavin responded to all of that. Gavin talked about that, and this is what he said.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup and then the Super Bowl and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing it in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those 3 iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan?
For
Tell
this
us about
region,
this Marshall
we're just
Plan.
starting to lay out. I mean, we're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region, how we can make sure that we are seeking federal assistance for the Olympics more broadly, but also federal assistance for the recovery efforts, and how we can galvanize the community with folks that love this community to really develop a mindset so that at scale, we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
That's a lot. Well, one would say they're ahead of the curve, so they're just preparing for the future in a real expedited manner. Some would sigh and say, why are y'all planning to build a city when the city's still on fire? I think both have to happen at the same time. That's what leadership is. You have to think about, okay, what is the future while we're getting through right now? You don't let it burn all the way to the ground and then say, let's start. You have to start thinking about resourcing all that. So I applaud Gavin Newsom for doing that. But aside from Gavin Newsom getting the side eye for that, the Kardashians have been getting dragged as well because Khloe, thought that it was going to be okay to slam LA Mayor Karen Bass. Now, I want to say the Kardashians endorsed the guy who ran against Karen Bass, which is the owner of the Grove. What's his name?
Rick Caruso.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Karen Bass ran against Rick Caruso, and the Kardashians had endorsed him. So they've never liked her anyway. And, they don't like nothing black unless it's going in them. So let's just be very clear. Now, she was attacking LA Mayor Karen Bass. And when LA Fire Chief claimed the city cut $17 million, as Robert said, from the fire budget, Khloe had a lot to say. Look.
Over this news that basically the chief, Kristen Crowley, was ordered into a closed-door meeting that lasted a while. Sources inside City Hall tell us that the mayor was none too pleased with the comments that she candidly, with a lot of candor, shared with us. I can tell you, Alex and Marla, the chief had tears in her eyes. She lives in Los Angeles.
So as you saw in the video, Khloe called the mayor a joke. Well, what's a joke, Khloe, is that you could have pulled up your skims and you could have got and trot your little ass out there with your little bucket and shovel and picked up bits and pieces from the fire your damn self if you care. But all you do is sit up and make TikToks all day, run around trying to find out where your man is and what he's sticking his thing in instead of actually tending to things that matter to all of us. We're sick of you people, and we're sick of rich people using their platforms to attack people that need help in terms of leadership, trying to guide the city forward. Maybe you can learn something from your sister Kimberly and go have more couth. Is that the word? And more respect to show and demonstrate to your millions and millions of followers that you actually give a shit. The thing that makes you think about the Kardashians in a different way when you're going through a time like this is you all are so blessed and have gotten so much out of this sex tape that you've shifted the world. Everybody's running around like a blow-up doll because of you and your family. You had revenge body, losing all that weight by chasing a man that didn't want you instead of running on a treadmill, and have lucked your way into a lot of things. Success is the fat kid that never really had talent. Now, I guess, you're not fat anymore because you sucked and tucked it all. Look, I don't understand why you're coming from Karen Bass instead of getting out there to help. And you talk about the chief. Did you call the chief? Did you guys make a personal donation to make sure she had more buckets so she can throw more water on the fire? What have you done to actually help besides politicize the devastation and destruction of many, many people who have a lot less than you? You are a bad representation of your family. Now, I'm sure you'll find some way to transition this into another blessing like your stepdad did. But either way, we're not going to buy it. Now, that's coming from a vice mayor, by the way.
Clock that.
Oh, it was this transition that's like your stepdad for me.
It feels good to be back.
It feels good to have you back.
Or stepmom. Well, Khloe was quickly checked by several black celebrities and personalities online. This is what Jessie Wu had to say. Jessie said, it's interesting how Khloe Elon Musk Kardashian Simpson has been very quick to call Mayor Karen Bass a joke, but had no smoke for Trump, J.D. Vance, or Elon during the past election. And then Blue, friend to the show, of course, and Hollywood Unlocked, says, the way Khloe is quick to publicly check black women, but goes mute when black men and everyone else is gross and very telling. Yvette Nicole Brown, friend of the show, said, this is from 2022 when LA was in the midst of a drought. Every citizen was asked to conserve for the good of everyone else. Because of fires, this is how some citizens responded to the ask. Is this a joke? And that was a story from Rolling Stone saying the Kardashians among LA's worst water wasters, using 330,000 gallons of county limit in June. Well, I'm sure you're probably trying to wash your sins away with all that water, but unfortunately, we can go over to Hulu and see you all still living in them. Please focus on the things that move our culture. Well, sorry. You're not a part of our culture.
Oop.
Please use your platforms to move the needs of regular citizens forward. Kim did a good job. Look, I be hard on you, Kim, because you're the reason why all these other people are in our life. I like you. I like Courtney. I like everybody. I mean, Chloe, I like you too. But you had a whole husband that was smoking crack in the closet. I can go down the list of... maybe this was why your man was over at Jordan Sparks' house.
Not Jordan Sparks.
Jordan Woods. Whatever. Sparks, fire. It's all the same. Jordan Woods. You know what I mean. And please don't take this clip and go, y'all elected him as vice mayor. Yes, I am. It's online. You can go see it. Okay. Anyway, again, to all the first responders, all the firefighters, all the prisoners who are out there helping with the fires, Mayor Bass, the fire chief, everybody from Stockton who's helping LA, everybody from surrounding areas, the Mexicans from Mexico, despite all the attacks that your country's had to endure from the political figureheads in our country, thank you for what you're doing. When you think about what Chloe's saying or doing or adding, or any other person that's attacking the mayor, what do you think?
I feel like everyone keeps pointing the finger and politicizing this. And I feel like Chloe could have just said, like, thanks to Chief Crowley, because we actually booked her, me and my team, on Kelly Clarkson's show a couple years ago. I do love her. And you could have just given her props. Like, it's nobody's fault. And also, they're trying to make it seem like Mayor Bass was on vacation in Africa, but she was doing, like, an inauguration for another president over there. Like, she was doing, like, governmental political
Mayor
duty.
Bass is the real deal. Let me just say, I know her personally. If she wasn't, I would tell you. But you know what I've learned, even in my own political journey, right, or as being an elected official or whatever, because I don't like the word politician, is that people do tear down one to build up another. Like, that's just the game. It's nasty. But like I keep telling everybody in Stockton, I'm nasty too, so play with me if you want to. You tear me down. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I say, when they go low, we go to hell. So choose wisely.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, she could have used her platform to actually like stop misinformation and disinformation. And what's so crazy, and we talk about this, everybody can talk about this now, she could have took 2 seconds and chat GPT'd all the information she needed to actually say something that was correct instead of putting out misinformation and attacking a black woman. Come on, girl, do better.
Well, now speaking of misinformation, Meta's no longer going to put misinfo posts on people's content. So now Meta's going to become the highway of say whatever you want.
Just like X.
Bye.